out meditation. Okay, everyone, sit tall on your seat, feet flat on the ground, palms on your knees. I want you to do some physical loosening up first before we go into the meditative part. So I will start with my neck leaning towards my left shoulder, slowly letting it roll forward, around to my right shoulder, and behind. Can you hear all those little creaks?
Mm-hmm.
And then rotate it back to the right, front, and back to the left shoulder. Then rotate your shoulders backwards, not just moving them, but actually rotate your rotator cuffs just a few times. And then roll them forward. You don't realize how tight your shoulders can get. And then lastly, the fingers. Sometimes I shake them a little bit, but don't do that too hard. You just want to loosen them up. Okay. Now think of something that you're grateful for today. And with that, you're going to take 3 deep breaths in through your nose and exhale through your mouth. And when you're done, just open your eyes, beginning right now. Welcome, Mary.
Hey, good morning.
Good morning. So today we're going to begin doing colored Zentangle inspired art. And we're going to start with colored pencils. So there are many, oh, should I be highlighted or whatever?
Fine.
You're good.
I can't, your mic is off, Peg.
I can spotlight you if you would like.
Okay.
I see only you here.
Say again, Susan Schessler?
I see only you here.
Okay.
That's what we set up, spotlighted.
So there are many different coloring mediums for Zentangle. You got watercolor, you got markers, you got pens, and you got pencils. But, and please note, there is a whole art and science to using colored pencils and appropriate papers that professional artists are really persnickety about. We are limiting this discussion of colored pencils as an enhancer to your Zentangle inspired art. So we're not going to be real persnickety, okay? We're not going over light fast of colors. We're not going over different kinds of papers because we're limiting this to Zentangle, which uses a particular kind of paper with just enough tooth to be great for the micron pens that we use, the graphite pencils, as well as colored pencils. So you basically have 2 types of pencils. They're either oil-based or wax, and the oil-based are harder. They have a harder lead. They're translucent when they're applied, and they're really great for very fine lines. All of this will be put up as a resource on our website, so you don't have to necessarily busy yourself with writing down all these details. Some examples of oil-based colored pencils. And it's actually, they're either oil or wax-based as a definition of their primer, their binder that the pigments are in. So oil-based examples are the polychromos, Faber-Castell. I do not have those. Also, Carbothello chalk pastels are considered oil-based because they have more wax in their binder than they have oils. I'm sorry, they have more oils than wax in their binders. They yield a drier consistency, but they're great for blending and shading. I'm going to be showing you different examples of these, so don't get caught up in trying to write notes. Just know that there's a difference between oil-based, harder lead, translucent, fine lines, and wax-based. They're a softer lead, and they're opaque. Examples of these are the Prismacolors and the Derwent Inktense. Now, this one is kind of cool because it has more wax than oils in the binder. So it yields a permanent, note the word permanent, vibrant color when activated with water. But I did not know this before. You can add more colors and layers on top of the watercolor. I would always use the water brush as the final detail of putting down the water to get that vibrant line. I did not know that you could actually lay down watercolor and then still work with the dry Inktense pencils on top of it. Okay, there's some basics to working with colored pencils. And again, this may seem a little elementary for you, but I'm going to show you examples after I tell you the basics of my examples before I learned how to use colored pencils for Zentangle. So you'll see the before and you'll see the after. Okay, the paper tooth affects the pigment and the binder's ability to lay down color. So if you apply your color pencil too heavy, you press down that tooth. It's very fine to begin with. So, and I'm going to show you the difference when how light you should be using your color pencil. So if you keep that in mind, you will use a very light touch, plus you will use layers to create intensity. Sharpen tips often, layer, layer, layer for color, then layer some more for values to get that contrast. And values are important when working in any color medium. Paying attention to the lights, the mediums, and the dark values, and highlighting as well. So you want to make sure you highlight and shade. And with colored pencils, because of the tooth of the paper, you can burnish your work to finalize it, but it's optional. You do not have to burnish colored pencils on the paper. If you don't use a paper with tooth, if you use a smooth paper, your color pencil work will look very, very different because the pigments can't grab onto anything. Mm-hmm. So the grip, how you grip your pencil matters. So most of us do this and then apply it, but sometimes you want to do this on the side. And I don't know if we reminded you why the graphite pencil that we got from Zentangle, why it's so small. It's meant to be held in the palm of your hand and applied. So you have to go sideways with this. It's not meant to be held like a pencil because it's too short. The further back you hold your pencil, the more area you cover because you have a wider sweep, if you will, and a lighter touch. The closer to the point, the less radius you have and the harder you're likely to place your pencil. And the last tip is we often don't plan in advance what our tangles are going to be like or how we're going to arrange them because we're so used to tangling and then as an afterthought, coloring. The difference being is if you decide this morning you want to do a tango and you want to color it, you may select different tangos than you otherwise would have. Now, today we asked you to bring an example of a tile you already created so that you will not have forethought what tangle but I'll show you the difference between having enough real estate to work with and not. Okay, so I'm moving on quickly to examples of my color work before I learned how to use them. All right, gonna share.
I'm gonna take the spotlight off.
Okay,
There you go.
all right. Now, this is not color, but a reminder, if you haven't developed your chop, please do so. The work you guys are creating are phenomenal, and you really should sign your work on the front. That's where it's intended to go. So just a gentle reminder. All righty. So I mentioned in the intro that there are many different ways of coloring. These are examples of pen.
What pen? Wait, what pen?
Colored pens.
So like
Like the
micron color
microns?
pens kind of thing?
I'm sorry, micron colored pens.
Got it. Okay.
Also, oops, here, sorry. Tombow,
Yeah.
a brush and a pen that yields
Is it so close?
work. This is the marker. Okay.
Oh, wow.
But it also is, I use the pen for these marks. Now, quick story is I tried, these are koi fishes that are flat like a puzzle, and then you create it into 3D. But you can see I tried to do some Zentangle, and it doesn't
Oh,
come
yeah.
well.
Mhm.
The markers, they do nice blending of different colors.
Oh, wow.
And even here, it
Beautiful.
kind of was okay, but not really. So I just gave up doing Zentangle, and then I just went with color. But
Mhm.
these are the markers, and then I use the ink pen side for that. Okay, so that's not what we're doing today. And then Inktense,
Yeah.
Yeah.
because
Mhm.
I thought all you do is just add water, right? Add
Yeah.
water,
Yeah.
add water, add water, or make gemstones. This was a little different. This was ink and, so this is colored ink and Inktense. This is unfinished. This is more water, water, water. And you see what I'm saying? When you do something like this, you don't have a whole lot of real estate, so you can't really shade and form. Which is nothing wrong with that. You don't always have to have that perfect, whatever. Sometimes it's just fun, just to be fun.
Is water kind of dangerous in those tiny spots?
I'm sorry?
Is using water kind of dangerous in those tiny spots?
Yes, it's not as easily controllable.
Right.
Yeah. So, but the trick to that one is you take your pen, your water brush, and put the color right on the pen itself, and then apply the color.
Yes, yes.
Versus putting the color on the paper because it's such a small real estate. And then by the time you put the water, it blobs.
I've learned to do that. Yeah.
Okay. So, Prismacolors. So That was Inktense. This is Prismacolor. You can see, though, how I use the paper through it for my highlights,
Mhm.
but there's not much dimensionality to any of these because I didn't know.
Nani,
Yes.
what determined which you used, whether you used the Prismacolor or another different color kind of pen?
I'm going to answer that in a moment.
Okay.
This is a project I'm still working on. This is my Opus tile. I wanted to do it in blues, but I don't quite have the right blues yet. So I'm still working on it. This is Prismacolor. Okay. Get ready, Peggy.
I'm ready.
So I didn't have much of an example for the chalk. I know I've done other work, but chalk is really great for colored tiles because of the vibrancy of them. And then it's more precise because it's a harder lead. And now we're going to go to Peggy real quick. And Peggy, don't get into the tips yet because that's what I'm going to cover. So you want to
Tips? Oh,
I'm-
yes, ma'am.
share? I'm going to stop share and then you share.
Okay. So if you remember last week, I got to get myself hopefully right here. Just give me 2 shakes. I'm almost there. All right. So if you remember 2 weeks ago when we did the Ratoon,
Mhm.
and then I
Mhm.
put the other resources up that you could look at, like the different examples of Ratoon. One of them was Ratoon Really Fun. Remember when she did all the crazy other stuff? Well, that one intrigued me. So I'm going to go the other way here. I'm going this way. So I played with that. And I did where she did the 3 levels.
Mm,
I don't know if you saw that video, guys, or not. Did you guys look at it?
no.
Okay, so I'm going to show you really quick. I'm sorry, I shouldn't have done that. I'm going to show you really quick because otherwise this doesn't make any sense. I promise, Nani, it'll be really fast.
I would prefer not.
Okay, whatever you want. That's my example. Is that what you wanted me to do, was just show it?
Correct.
Okay, I showed it.
Hopefully there's time at the end. I don't want to.
Whatever, it doesn't matter. It's your
Um,
class, lady. You lead.
I can answer Susan McKelson's question. Okay. At this point, it would be helpful to me to know what medium each of you are using. Anne?
I have prism color, but it doesn't tell me what,
Oh, you're the
Uh,
Prismacolor.
yeah. It doesn't tell me what the base or whether it's
I will tell
wax
you.
or oil.
I will tell you.
Oh, okay, good.
Mimi?
Orvatella.
Oh, okay. And Janet?
I'm also using the Prismacolor.
Susan Schussler.
Can you tell me what the Prismacolor is again? Because I think there's all different names for things.
Well, I know you have an Inktense, Derwent Inktense.
I have an Inktense and I have a dual brush, you know, the pen and the brush in the same.
Okay, you're gonna use Inktense today.
Okay.
And Janet was Prismacolor. Mike? Oh, you got the Polychromos.
Yay, Faber-Castell.
Susan McKelson.
I have the watercolor, I have Prismacolor, I have Inktense, and I have colored pencils.
Do
From
Prismacolor.
Duet. Prisma? Okay.
Yeah. Myra, are you using the Polychromos as well? Oh, you're using Inktense. You go, girl. Okay. Marie,
Watercolor pencils.
okay. And Mary, or Mary Blue. Oh, you both got blue. Mary Turquoise. Your mic is off.
Mary Moran, you need to unmute, baby.
My mic was off.
In the meantime, Mary Vicker, Veronica.
Got these. Prismacolor and ChromaFlow.
Do you mind working with the Prismacolor?
Not at all.
Okay. Margaret,
I can do either Inktense or Prismacolor.
Okay.
you tell me.
I haven't used Prismacolor that much, so I might need to learn that.
Okay. And Mary Moran?
Okay. That's one I use.
So it's a watercolor.
Plus watercolors.
Brush, Mary?
These are aquarelle water pencil.
I know, honey, are they pencils?
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah.
Peggy?
Yeah, I'm gonna use Faber-Castell.
That's the only one I don't have.
That's all right.
Linda? Linda?
Nani?
Inktense. I have Inktense.
Yes, Margaret. Wait, who was, oh, no, it was Ann.
I also have these ink pens, but they're not labeled with anything and I have no idea.
So any of your supplies that you have, even the ones that you're going to use today, the best advice is practice, 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 right?
Okay.
Everybody has a different grip, a different feel. You know, some people like the flowy stuff, other people like more geometrics. And it's kind of the same thing with your art supplies. You just got to try it. And you don't have to just use one. You can use ink and colored pencils. There's a variety of things you can do.
Ah,
okay. And are you guys using last week's tile or?
Wait, I'm using the this one that we did
Okay.
2 weeks
Yeah.
ago.
And I'm just using this one.
All right, that's good.
And
I'm just trying to figure out how much real estate you guys are working with.
Okay.
I am, sorry.
Good one, Susan. Yep, yep, yep. Okay. You guys are good. Okay. You didn't have real teeny tiny stuff, which would have been difficult. And is there anything any one of you has on your mind that's burning you really, really, really want to know about watercolors? I may not know the answer, but I thought it would be interesting to know what people really want to know about using water or colored pencils for Zentangle.
The thing that frustrates me doesn't have much to do, like, I have the box says, Keith Brown, your imagination, 100 dual tip pens. It doesn't have those fancy words, primrose, prim something, or whatever else. And that's what I get crazy. I don't know what's what.
So, well,
I mean, I just use
That's-
them.
what I would do, I would Google, I'd use the name on your box,
Yeah.
wax or oil-based. That's
It's
what
not
I would do.
Honey,
Who's asking? Janet?
Janet, yeah. No one mentioned using chalk, and I'm not sure. Can you show me a chalk pencil and what
Carbothellos.
Carbothellos is chalk?
Carbothello. And then that's what Peggy. I called you Margaret.
Yeah,
I
Margaret,
can't believe you did that. I used Carbothellos, Janet, on the one I showed.
This is chalk, and I'm going to show you examples how
Okay.
you use it,
And
okay?
but then you have to seal that. Is that correct? Or
You're getting ahead of me.
oh, okay, sorry.
Don't
No,
get
no,
ahead.
that's fine. You didn't know how I had this because I anticipated.
You
a lot of
asked.
questions, because I had them too. But at least I know I'm getting to those questions.
That's good.
Anything else? Okay. All right. Now I'm going to get into the specific, because I really want to have time for you guys to do the coloring. I'm going to share. Yeah.
Sorry.
All right. I'm first going to cover the white colored pencil. Because it's a really, it does several things for us. It smooths, it blends, it softens in addition to highlights. We always know the white to be for highlights, but sometimes you use it just to smooth out your colors and to help blend your colors like we do in gemstones. But if you use white over a particular color, it also softens it. If you want a gradient, and people don't do gradients, normally people do different layers of color over the same area. But if you wanted to do a gradient, which is nothing more than the same color, dark to very light, you first lay down your darkest color with more pressure, and then you lighten that pressure to get the lighter value. And then with the white pencil, you go over backwards from the lightest to the darkest. Okay. And often the white pencil is also used for burnishing, but like for Prismacolor and Inktense, a gel white pen is better for highlights. Okay. So that's the white pencil. That's it has a special place. Now
Hey, Haunani, can you
Yes.
repeat what you just said? With Inktense, the white gel is better?
once you burnish,
Right.
gel pen is the better item to use for highlights.
Got
So
it. Okay,
highlights
thank
are-
you.
Highlights are contrast, right?
Right.
If you're using the white to soften or blend, it can no longer be a highlight of high contrast. It's a
Gotcha.
but of low contrast. Did that make sense? Okay. I'm going to start off with the Inktense. And again, this stuff is going to be on the website under the resources. So when you're doing watercolors, with your water brush, you always want to make sure you have a paper towel to use, and in addition to your water source, which I don't have water in here today, and the reason why you want to do that is sometimes your brush gets a little colored, like you're not able to get it completely off, and you try and it doesn't work. So then you'll just dip it in there. Now I I don't know why I do this, but I always use the back of my hand to test it. It's just a habit. I do that with my gel pens. So this is, if you're not familiar with a watercolor brush pen, they're very inexpensive and you can get a variety of them. This happens to be a small point, but they come very wide as well. And I use a small point because in Zentangle, the real estate is pretty small. And when I was saying earlier, oops, you can use the tip and apply the brush to the tip just to get a little bit of color on there. And if you got too much, you can still use your paper to dilute it a little bit. Or I use sometimes the back of my hand. So when you color, when you lay your color down, you want to apply the water sparingly from a light area to dark. And I'm going to demonstrate that. The color can be applied to the paper, or you can use the brush pen that I just showed you with the pencil tip to apply just a little bit. After the layer dries, it is permanent. What does that mean? That means if you had a hard line because you didn't feather it out, it stays. You cannot eradicate it with any more water, like you could with most watercolor medium. But don't fret. I didn't know that you could add color on top of that. So all that means is now, if that happened to you, then you go back and fix it by adding more color and blending more color before going back in. And you may or may not want to use the brush again. I used to use the brush, as I mentioned earlier, just as the final detail, just to get that last line of vibrant color. But you don't have to use it as the last. You can actually use it as the first and then still put dry color on top of it. And why would you do that? Because using color pencils is all about layering to get the intensity of the color and or to shape your, the conical effect or a cylindrical effect, in addition to shading. And the Inktense burnishes very well. And burnishing is nothing more than taking the white pencil or a blendless stick like this. And it's called colorless. So it has no color, but it does have a tip. And all you do is literally, you're taking away the tooth of the paper by smushing the color into the paper itself. And then you see how it gets a little shiny, and that's burnishing. Moving on to the chalk, Janet, the Carbothellos. They're highly pigmented. Thus, they do very well on black or dark paper. To blend them, you do it in the dry state. You smudge using either tortillons, Q-tips, or fingers. Q-tips are great, but you don't want the real soft point ones. You want the cheaper ones that are harder. Not that I would know the difference, but okay. And sometimes you do get the dust, the pigment dust. And that's why you want to have like a makeup brush, a large, soft brush that you can dust away the extra pigment. If you don't, what you end up doing is you smudge it on your workpiece without knowing that. So you have to be very careful. You want to start at the center, if there is a center, before going out to the edges. If you start at the edges, you're going to end up smudging inadvertently, of course.
Like this is the center.
Now,
Start center.
You can use water to blend the Carbothellos, but I've never done that. But I'm going to caution on the Carbothellos because they are a hardcore, oil-based. And so your pressure on the pencil has to be light. Otherwise, you destroy the tooth of the paper. And once you do that, it's hard to add colors because it has nothing, the pigments have nothing to grab onto. It's not the end of the world if, you know, if it's too hard. You just blend the best that you can and love the results. On the Carbothellos, they're brittle, more so than other colored pencils. So use a manual hand sharpener versus an electric one. Or most people, when they work with Carbothellos, apparently they use a craft knife to shave off the wood and then give them more of the pencil, the color pencil part. And then at the end, it is wise to use a spray fixative to set the colors. Now moving on to the Prismacolors. These are soft core. They're really good on tan tiles. Again, here, use light pressure, build up the layers, using the side of the pencil more so than the tip. It minimizes lead breakage and allows for smoother blending. And this is a tip throughout any kind of color pencils that you're using. Start with a base coat of color, then add darker shades on top to build depth and dimension. You can also add, like lay down green and add yellow on top of that to get a light green, or use a light green. But sometimes you want to combine different colors because you're going after a different kind of effect. Again, this is your style, your own way of working. Always use circular motions to create a smooth transition and avoid harsh lines. When you get those harsh lines, you do your best to blend with another color and or the white pencil to soften it. Prismacolors also burnish well, just like the Inktense. Interesting though, because the Prismacolors are soft, they go over, the waxiness of it goes over your micron black line. So when you're done coloring, in addition to looking at the values of getting light, dark, and medium, making sure you have dark areas, light areas, etc., the last thing you should do then is to go over your Zentangle lines, not each and every one of them, but where it makes the most sense to define your work. And I did not know this before, but you can use an eraser to remove some of the Prismacolor. Now, I put the word sometimes because it depends when you're taking up the color. If you're just beginning to lay down your first layer, that's great. You have several layers on there, you're done. Okay.
So Nani,
Yes.
go back over your line work. Are you saying use your black pen and go over?
Yes, I am.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you for the lead in. Okay.
Okay. Can I ask a favor?
Mm-hmm.
Can somebody speak?
Yes.
Wow. Hello.
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 Hello, hello.
Okay, thank you.
Computer's acting, and I just want to make sure that I'm solving the problem so that I don't screw up the video. You follow me?
Yep.
So I apologize for interrupting. All right. All right. We'll see how that goes. Okay. Thank you.
Just trying to get the right. I think that's the best I can do. All right. What I'm trying to show you, this is the same design, right? Using,
Wow. Mhm.
this is the Prismacolor. Should have known without flipping. This is the Inktense. And this is the Carbothello. This is the chalk.
Big difference.
It's
Yeah.
all on white. So I tried to keep them as similar as I can, but the color profile is different in every set, right?
Mhm.
But so if we just work in black and white, now I had lines, right? I added the only difference between these three and the black and white is I have lines. Because if you don't put lines, you don't have much of a design.
Right.
But when you work with color, you can still keep those lines. It just becomes less important. Now, you know how I said layer, layer, layer? So this is Prismacolor. I'm not done layering, but this is what I did first for the green, second, third, and I'm not done. Same thing with the blue. First, second, and third. And again, I'm not yet done. But I mean, I'm doing it for all of these. I'm just laying it down. I'm trying to figure out how I'm going to create shadow here. So I couldn't just use a darker, more layering of the same color. I had to switch to a different color to get that effect.
Mhm.
And then Susan McKelson, I think, I traced over my Zentangle lines. I did not do that one because it didn't matter to me. I really wanted more the circular part to come out. But in here, it's important to come back in and redefine because you do end up losing your lines. So I'm going to be working on the Prismacolor today because you notice how you can see the tooth of the paper through here?
Yes.
You want that early on. If you lose that, it's harder to layer more color. And that's probably as dark a value as you're going to get, whatever you have on at that point in time. So try to protect that. And here you see how I started the blue, right? I did some blue. I did different blues. I actually have 3 blues on here and then the green to get to where I'm at yet.
Wow.
Okay. So did that show you the difference in how you start? You start to, and you layer still and more. And like I said, I'm not yet done and I'm working on the shading here because if you look at this one is not as interesting. It doesn't pop out as much as this one does, but it doesn't pop out enough yet. And again, you just look at your work. Does it need more? If you needs more, be done. Be happy. But if you're looking for, that one looks flat. I think I should, whatever. And you try it. There is no right or wrong on this. I mean, you just have to keep trying. Okay, I'm going to.
You can always add more. You can't take it away,
Right.
right?
Yeah, I mean, you figure stuff out,
Yeah.
but don't get too antsy, you know? And quite frankly, how did I know what? Okay, since I'm working on a Prismacolor, look at all the colors I've got out now. I started out with 5, but then I wanted, oh, I need to make that a little bit lighter, or I need more of a shadow or blending, you know? And then you start pulling them out. But you start with a core set because you don't know yet how they're going to look on the paper. Now, one thing, where did that one go? No, these are intense. Hold on, this one's important to know. Well, all right, I will find it. I just don't have it at the moment. Okay, what I wanted to say is use the back of your tile. I have one where I put the color, I lay the colors down, and then the actual name, partly because, and then of course, the tangles. Now this happens to be the Opus, so it's the biggest one, but test your colors on the back. I'll try and find that example that I wanted to use. So that's typically what I do. So if you don't know how this is going to blend, just turn it over and try it. Okay, so we did Prismacolors. I'm going to work on that when we start coloring. Inktense is like Prismacolor. You see how, again, I start with something light, I lay it down, I start to layer and layer more so that I can get more shape. But you can still see the tooth, right? Now, eventually, I don't want you to see the tooth, and I'm just not done yet with the coloring, just like over here. But I also wanted to show you how I went over with my micron at the end. I'm not really at the end for myself. I really want this to be blended in better. And I'm not sure I like these highlighted areas or if I even need them. But that's how I started, okay? And then the Carbothellos. I love how they look on dark because they pop. You see that? I love that blue. Yellow would have really popped on this one too. But I'm just exploring the Carbothellos. And at this point, Peggy, did you want, because now I'm going to send you off to start coloring. Peggy, did you want to share more of your Carbothello before we get going?
I can do that if you want. I'm happy to do that. How's everybody else? You want me to do that or what do you want?
Sure.
Yeah.
And
Yeah,
I'd like you to show a Carbothello pen.
I'd be
Pencil.
happy to show you the pencils.
Oh, well, I'm going to be,
Okay, are you going to be using them?
well, I'm going to work on the Prismacolor, but I do have the pencils that I used. Go ahead, Peg, take it away.
No, either way, babe, whatever you want. I'm okay.
You
Show
do it.
what you used.
Whoa. All righty. My colors just all came out now.
You just need to move the camera up a little. There we go. No, okay.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah,
I
those
think-
are the Stabilo Carbothello.
I think I must have a couple of those that I bought loose. That's why I'm asking. But
Yeah.
at one time, Hillary suggested some kind of chalks, and I bought them.
Yeah.
And I don't know what the hell to do with them. I mean,
Okay.
But-
Well, I can talk about that a little bit
But here's the thing. Oops. Do you have it?
or not, whatever.
See my, maybe you can't see that. Here, my Q-tips.
I don't do that.
Some
so
people like using their fingers.
mhm.
I don't. It's not a grunge thing. It's just, I think the Q-tips are smaller and give me better, and cheaper than using tortillons. But if I were using a larger real estate, I would use a tortillon.
So those are the ones you used on the product that you showed, on the Zentangle piece that you showed.
On the Carbothello,
The last one, yes. Okay, thanks.
here again, I took out a few colors and then I started supplementing them in order to figure out what goes well and what layers on top.
Mhm.
And you don't know until you try it, which is why the back of your tile is so important. Okay.
Nani, when you use ink pens, do you have to use water?
No, 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 no. When we do gemstones, we don't use color or water.
All right, okay.
So ink pens. These were my colors. Didn't need as many. Oops. I didn't need as many colors. I don't know why I didn't need as many, but Prismacolors, I ended up pulling out a ton of colors. Again, it's style, preference, you know? Okay, Peggy, take it away with your video, and then as soon as that's done, please just begin your work. And I'm going to share my screen, but I'm going to be working with the Prismacolor.
Okay,
I can stop sharing.
okay. 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 Whatever.
You're on.
You don't have to stop working just because I'm having this conversation, okay? Just to let you know, I don't want any of that. So on the class we did 2 weeks ago, just don't watch, it'll make you dizzy. Okay. I did some other resources with Watoon, right? So I threw this one in on a lark, and she did it called Watoon with Fun, right? And I thought, well, I'll just share that with y'all because I thought it was interesting. Well, it intrigued me. So I ended up doing it because I thought this was a fascinating result using Watoon, okay? So I thought, okay, cool beans, I can do that. You're gonna have to hold on a minute because I turned off my camera because it was making my other camera go crazy for some reason. So I did Watoon. I did that, made fun and silly Watoon that she had in the video. But as it turns out, when I started it, I picked up my purple Micron. All right. So I was doing it in purple. So I thought, well, hell, if I'm doing it in purple, I need to shade it in purple. I use Carbothellos a little differently in that I use them a lot for shading. So the Carbothellos I used for this particular design was I used 3 different colors of purple to pink, and a yellow. And I used a darker yellow rather than, what am I trying to say? An orangey yellow rather than a bright yellow. Okay. And then I did this part first because I consider that more like shading. And I started just by putting the purple down because I figured that was the right color. Now here's what I use. I do not use Q-tips or fingers. I think that tortillons are cheap enough that I just buy bags of them at a time. And then I have tortillons, a tortillon for each color. So I know I have a yellow. I know I have the purple, and I know I have the pinky purple. And then I have a lighter pinky purple. And if they get weird and they don't stay color, I just dump them and get another one. Or I push them out with the paper clip, like we used to show you guys, right?
Yeah.
And then I just you can even take a nail file, a sand stick, you know what I mean? And you can just file these and some of that color will come off. Actually, they sell I have reorganized like I told you guys I was going to do, and now I don't remember where the hell it is. But I reorganized so well. But they actually sell little sand sticks that you can use to take off the color on the tortilla. Okay?
Okay.
For me, I start where I want the color the darkest is where I start. Okay. And I knew I needed 2 purples because see, that's not exactly the right color purple. So I laid both purples down, and it's chalk, so it lays down really different. And then I brought them together and pushed them out to the lighter area, just like you would do with graphite,
Okay.
right?
Mm-hmm.
So it just pushes right out. Now, how Nani is 100% correct is you can really screw up and get on your white line. Okay, where did you go? Which is why I have this, come on, which is a teeny tiny eraser.
Mhm.
You see it?
Mm.
So I can just go, oh, no, I don't want purple there. And I just take my teeny tiny eraser and I bring that back.
Wow.
It's a wonderful little trick. Now I'm going to go ahead, even though I wasn't planning to do this, I'm going to go ahead and do this so I can kind of show you. I think I'm backwards. Aren't I
guys have
backwards?
less than 30 minutes to begin coloring. So while you're watching, can you start your coloring, please?
Yeah, I thought that's what we were doing. I think I'm backwards here. There we go. That's more like it. So this is what I would start with. And I'd lay down both colors. You see, it's not very much because the chalk moves.
Oh.
And then I combine those 2 colors, circular motions, just like how Nani was talking about. And then I just push it, just like I would for shading, out to the lighter color. And that's what I did here. The thing my experience with chalk pencils is that because I use, and this is me, and you know, this isn't necessarily right, or it's just how I am, because I use a tortillon, you can really smash the paper if you do too much blending. So all I do is what I was showing you here, and that's what I did here. But I tend with Carbocellos, I use my darkest on the edges, and then I blend in. But that's just what works for me. You know, I mean, everybody, you can go and look at colored pencil videos, and there can be 500 different ways to do this. So I'm not
That's why I did not get into any specific type. I mean, there's YouTube's galore. I just wanted to give you the basics to get you off of just putting color, period. You know, how you apply it, the technique that you use, and feel free to layer, will get you a whole lot closer. And just practice.
And I think with colored pencils, Hanani, I agree with you. And that's one of the reasons a lot of people don't use them, because they take patience. They take real patience to layer. The reason I like Carbocellos and chalk pencils is because they take less patience, because you can push the chalk around. And that makes it different than layering colored pencils. So that's kind of why they're cheaters. That's why. And I like the cheater. I admit it.
Who are you?
I'm sorry, I can't get that.
That's why how Nani does it so well, because she has patience. I find, just to throw one last thing in the mix, because the reason I like Faber-Castells, for those of you who are using those, is because they're hard. And when I first started this particularly, I used to push really hard on my color pencils. They were breaking regularly on me. And hardcore pencils handle that better, and they'll let you do more detail. Those are the basic differences. They're terrible when I try to use them for gems. I always fail. When Hanani does her gem classes, I always feel like I can't get it.
I'm gonna start sharing my screen so you can see.
Yep, I'm done.
Do
That's
your
it.
own thing. I'm just working on the Prismacolor. And I notice I have my sharpener with me right here. I find this very Zen-like to just layer, layer, layer. And now that I know Inktense, you can put color over the water part, I'm kind of more excited now to try it in different ways that I never used before. If any of you have questions or you want to show what you're doing and you're not sure how to proceed, just share it and maybe somebody, if I can't answer it, someone else might. Peggy and I spend way too much on Pinterest and Zentangle and YouTube's. Doesn't mean we have the answers.
You have an awful lot of circular tangles.
Say again?
You made an awful lot of tangles on circular paper.
Well, just for today's demonstration, because this is what the tangle was.
Yeah, but the ones you showed before, that was quite a bit.
They may have been, you know what? I'm just gonna guess. Probably because they gave me more real estate than the smaller
Yep.
tiles.
Yep.
So that let me color better. Because coloring before was just like putting one layer, just to get color down. I didn't know the fine points of this, but now I appreciate it. I'm going to experiment with this colorless pencil. Yep. So the difference between the colorless and the white pencil in burnishing is this does not soften any of the colors because there's no white to soften it or lighten it. I like that. It did not come as part of my Prismacolor set. I ordered it separately.
It almost looks like what you'd get with a tortillon. I mean, from the screen. I'm sure it looks different in person, but.
I'm going to put this up. It's certainly not a good.
Well, let me stop sharing my screen.
Not a good tangle, I think.
Well, let's see.
But
okay. Hang on a second. Let me spotlight you.
Oh,
it's an effort to layer and use different colors.
Mm-hmm.
Nice.
Cool.
Why do you think it's not a good one, dear?
Well, it's tiny and
Wait, do that one more time, hun.
Nice.
Not as tiny as
I like it.
I layered up on the top and I layered the yellow with the brown.
Yep.
And I layered the brown with the yellow. And then I layered the yellow with the yellow.
Yep.
Is that the idea?
That's the idea. Until you're happy with the layering.
Yeah, yeah. But-
And since you're working with ink tints, don't forget, you can still lay water down to get the vibrancy. And then once it dries, layer on top of that to change and do some shading or some shaping.
Can I show you what I did last week? I think it was on the 23rd. And I was really happy with
Oh,
that.
that's pretty.
Oh, yes.
Lovely.
I attempted shading there because I wasn't very good at shading.
You know what? We got to stop saying we're not good at shading.
Yes.
Because you know what shading is, and you attempted to do that. Can you
Right.
imagine how flat it would be? And you wouldn't even know, you wouldn't think it was flat, but how just plain it would be if you hadn't done that little extra bit that you don't think you were good at.
Yeah, I guess.
Yeah.
Okay, good. At least I'm happy I have the technique, I think.
Yeah, I'm happier now with my color work than I was before. I didn't know that I wasn't happy. Well, you know, isn't that telling though? Is
Yeah.
we should be happy, not should be happy, but we're learning, and that's living. And I
Right.
get excited about learning new things, especially when it comes to Zentangle.
Right.
So thank you all for allowing both Peggy and I to play with you guys.
You're welcome.
Didn't add any color, yet it looks so much darker than what it was before, just from burnishing with a colorless pencil.
Mhm.
You do not need to burnish everything, by the way. So part of the reason, well, I did some of it and not all of it because I wanted to show you guys the stages. But part of it is I didn't quite know how this was going to turn out anyway. So this was partly experimenting. And I found what I wanted to show you guys. So
Ooh,
you
wow.
see this.
Oh, pretty.
It's
But-
nice.
That's lovely.
Here's the
Yep.
important part. This,
Ooh,
right? All the information that I need. Now, am I ever going to use these again on this tile? No, but I will go back to this tile and say, oh, I kind of like that color combination. I want to use like maybe just these colors on something. Now I'll know. But it also tested it on the tan paper first. And then I'm starting to make sure that I do my tangles because I'm constantly just trying to figure out what tangle that is. Now, this one I wasn't as studious about, but still, you know, I did what I could, and then I still tried several different colors next to each other. Because how do you know what your palette should be? Because if you don't do that, you're going to end up using the same palette all the time because you're comfortable with it.
Mhm.
Can you turn the first one over again, please?
The back.
Yeah, the front.
Oh.
So beautiful.
beautiful.
Yeah. Yeah, we did those. I gave that to my brother with the word hope on it.
With the word what?
Hope, Hope. My
Oh,
brother
yes.
went through Parkinson's when he was in the care unit. He put it in his drawer, and then when I visited, he motioned to me to go get it, and I pulled it out, and I saw that he had kept it in his drawer.
Aw.
So that was great, and it was that particular design.
At our art show, Janet made a card that was stunning.
Yes, spectacular.
Mhm.
And then when Ann Moore recently gave me some money in an envelope, she gave it to me in a Zentangle card.
Mm.
I'm just loving how you guys are doing this. I like. What happens is once you figure out your formula for the color and strokes and whatever, it goes so much quicker.
Mhm. Yeah.
So we never have time to do a tangle and then color properly. Just like we rarely have enough time to do a tangle. When I say a tangle, a tile of tangles and
Yeah.
shade properly. So we try to shade a little bit just so we can show, but it behooves you to take the time later to actually shade in or to complete your shading because
Yeah.
you'll fall in love with your tile even more so because that's what makes it pop.
Yeah.
So even though our class time doesn't give us all the time we need, take the time.
Michael, you got it.
So I kind of like this mottled look. So I burnished it and then I went back over with the darker color. So it's not one color, but several. I mean, I started out that way too, but I kind of like that effect. Again, personal preference. Are you noticing the tooth of the paper?
Yes.
And you only need to care about it so you can lay enough color. After that, it doesn't matter. Actually, probably an artist would not be happy to hear me say that. And don't forget at the end, you want to trace over the Zentangle lines where you've lost the definition. Depends on the media you're using. Peggy, have you found that you need to do that with the chalk, the Carbothellos?
Ask that again. I'm sorry. I'm having trouble hearing there doing this stupid lawn. Ask that again.
Are you having to retrace your Zentangle lines with the Carbothellos after you've done your colors?
No, I have not noticed that as much, depending on how far I pull it out.
Got it.
Yes, some, but not as much as when I use colored pencil.
And you're using the white paper, so you're using the
Correct.
paper
On this
highlight.
example, I'm using white. Yes.
If you were to use it on black or darker colored paper, you might want to use the white.
Correct. Correct.
I don't have to tell you to have a light grip on your pencil because you should already be working with a light grip. But if your shoulders get tight, you can just rotate them forward and backwards. So just to repeat, the oil-based versus wax-based. So Faber-Castell Polychromos and Carbothello chalk pastels are oil-based. So they have a harder lead. That makes them a little bit more fragile, translucent, and you can do fine lines with them. Make sure though that you use a manual sharpener versus a electric sharpener. And the wax-based are softer lead and lay down more opaque, such as the Prismacolor or the Derwent Inktense. What's unique about the Inktense, though, is that you can lay it down with water as well to create a permanent color and still layer colors on top of that. Derwent has many different kinds of colored pencils. The Inktense, I believe, are the only ones that are also water soluble. A lot of people ask, how do you store your colored pencils? And why is that important? Well, to professional artists, they store them according to like flesh tones, stuff that they readily can gather together if they're doing portraits or pastels or greeneries. They don't always store them the way we receive them when we purchase them. And for those of you with basements or larger homes, you have storage space you can take advantage of. Eventually, I'm going to have to give my dining table back. In 2 minutes, we should begin sharing. I'm going to stop sharing my screen, but before I do that, so I'm trying to do some shading with the Prismacolor. Now I'm going to go back over this because this is a little rough with the colorless pencil to make that shading a little bit more natural. And I really like the colorless pencil for doing the burnishing that it did on the outside. I did not know you could get this brilliant a color with Prismacolor. And if you wanted to do pastels, you would just pick lighter colors and still layer them. Okay, stopping share. All right. Who wants to go first to share? Peggy, can
I
you?
like the green and blue.
That mean Mike and Myra want to go?
Oh, okay. I was just admiring Myra's.
Well, let us
But
all
Myra can go.
admire it. Oh, that's
Okay.
wonderful.
So
That's
the
pretty.
blue, I
Oh,
just
nice.
painted with the ink tints, and then the green, I used two colors of green, and then I put the water on the top just to see the different effects so that I could learn how to do that with the water.
That's
Cool.
beautiful, Mary.
Thank you.
Right.
Okay, mine, this was a black and white tile, and I just
Oh,
added some
pretty.
pencil
Mhm.
from dark
Yep.
blue to light blue and
Yep,
dark red to light red and
yep.
that was-
Hold
Good
up your
job.
tile. Hold up your tile. Mike, hold up your tile again.
oh,
So you're using an apprentice tile, which doesn't have the same tooth as a regular
oh,
Zentangle tile.
it's true.
So, no,
Yeah.
so that's why I wanted to bring this up, because that's an example of how the colors won't lay differently. That's all.
Yeah, they do. Yes, you're right. Yep, yep, yep. I didn't think of that, but that's right.
Cool. That's interesting because I may be sending you some 5x5 tiles. I bought a new template from our template lady. And I may be making us some tiles with a template that I send for a class. So we'll have to see how that goes. Ooh, I don't know. We'll see. You want me to just go around, guys, or what do you want to do?
Yeah, yeah.
Okay, Anne, do you want to show? You're muted, sweetie. You're muted.
Pretty.
Nice.
Oh, how
Nice.
lovely.
Like that.
Very
Mm.
pretty.
That's a
How
very-
did it feel, Anne?
Wait, she's unmuting. Can you get it? Hang on a minute. Hang on. I gotcha. I'll ask to unmute. Okay. Now you hit where it says unmute. That's very odd. Well, I guess we'll just have to look at it, babe.
Pretty.
Well,
Pretty.
thumbs up or thumbs down? Was it easier for you today? Can't tell. It's all right.
Okay.
I got it. Okay, thank you. that did it. I'm beginning to understand patience a
That's
little
what it
better,
takes. Yep.
and
That's
layering on top and on top. And I'm not there yet, but I'm working on it.
yep.
How did you mix your colors there in the,
Well, these are the colors.
Okay.
Nice.
So, and I'm basically going from very light to darker and hopefully eventually darker and back to very light. But
Wow.
I don't know.
did you layer at all or just do coloring?
Yeah. This one has about 3 layers on it.
Of
This
what
one at
color?
least 2,
Okay. What is
and
the-
this one another 3.
But you're layering the same color, right, Anne?
No, I have 3 different colors for each of the.
Perfect. That's what I think
Circles.
Susan wanted to know. Yeah.
Yeah.
There you go.
Thank you, yeah.
Yeah, but it's so light that it doesn't yet show up.
But it's nice, it gives a very unique coloring system,
Yeah.
Mhm.
It looks very shaded.
yeah.
Yes, yeah.
Nice.
Cool beans.
Thanks.
Do you want to show, Susan?
Oh, I can, it's not much different than I had already done,
Oh, I like that. Yes,
I like
it
it.
is.
It's
pretty.
nice.
Pretty.
Cool.
getting there, looks
Yeah.
Mexican, kind of Mexican.
Wow.
There you go. Susan Michelson. Oh, that's neat. Pretty.
Yes.
Nice.
I have a very limited set of pencils, so my colors are limited. And I want my color immediately, so I tend to use a heavy hand instead of
Yes.
being
I
able to layer
understand.
and layer.
Yeah.
Yep, that's me. That's me. Yep.
And I did go over my Zentangle lines, as you can see on some of them, and that helped a lot.
Very nice.
Uh-huh.
Just
Cool.
have a style. If you have a heavy hand, you have a heavy hand.
Mimi.
I did one with intense. And that's it.
Pretty.
Oh, beautiful.
Lovely.
Oh,
Did you
And then
use
I did
water,
one
Mimi,
with,
or
pardon?
did you use water or just pencil?
Yes, I did, and I used my finger and everything. Yeah, I used water.
Nice.
Nice.
And then I did one with Carbatello. I wanted to see how that worked.
Yeah,
Oh.
see how different?
Oh.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Did you use water with that?
No, not with this.
No, not with the chalk, right? Yeah.
No, it says you can use water with Carpathellos.
Yeah. I hear they say that. I'd like to, yeah, I'll watch a video on that one before I'm gonna be putting
Okay.
water on my Carbothello.
Two different.
Side by side? Wow.
Yeah.
Pretty bad.
Yeah.
Fun.
Thank you for putting your chop on there.
Yep.
Janet, you want to show?
Yeah, okay.
Yeah, okay.
Oh, nice.
Oh, like
yeah.
that.
This color.
Yeah.
I like that.
I like it
Cool.
too.
That's
The little
fun.
fruit looks round.
That's cute.
I learned, the thing I learned about is that I have a Carbothello. I have a couple of them, but I never used them because I never knew what to do with them. But today
Understood. Well,
So-
good. That's good.
I mixed some things together here. That was fun.
Good. Marie, do you want to show?
No, I don't really have that much to show.
All right. I'm going to have to work on you. All right. Mary Moran, you want to show?
Sure. I'll show you.
Let's see.
In front of your face, in front of your face, in front of your face.
There you
There.
go.
Oh,
we
oh,
go.
how
Oh,
pretty.
beautiful.
That
So,
is
Nice.
I started with I'm using the watercolor brush.
Yeah.
And so the center part was done with watercolors. And the other
Mm,
part, the purple and the pink,
are my watercolor pencils. And then I'll go to a different color when I get to the outside. It's just testing to see how I love them to blend. And so that's what I was working with.
Love
Cool.
that the
Yeah.
painting, it looks
Very pretty.
so appealing.
Mm-hmm.
Very nice.
Yes.
Yeah.
Cool beans. Margaret.
Okay, I use Prismacolor,
Mhm.
and
Nice.
this, you can't really see it. I
There we go,
started
yeah.
out yellow and then went to brown, and
Mhm.
I've got 3 colors in these.
Cool.
So I don't know that I like the color combination on the whole, but we're working on it.
Yep. Learning, right? Mary Veronica.
Ooh,
Oh, cool.
Well, that's a violet.
Yeah.
Nice.
Really nice. Awesome.
Yep.
Did you enjoy it?
Yes.
Just checking.
Yes.
Very good.
All right, Linda.
I just logged in about, oh, we're
Oh,
heading.
wrong, Linda. I'm sorry. I forgot I
Sorry.
have 2. No, no,
Gotcha.
you're good. Go ahead. Go ahead.
Okay, I took the
Oh, that's
ratoon
nice.
from the other week.
it's pretty.
Yeah.
Go out, but I've
Well
got a
done.
darkened green.
Oh, I like that.
I'll get my lines in there.
Very nice.
Medium did you,
Very nice.
Linda?
Those were intense, dry.
Got it.
Okay, Linda Connolly, you want to not show because you just logged in?
I just logged in,
No.
so I have nothing to show. But I
Well-
wanted to see what everybody else had done.
There
Love
you
it.
go.
Love it.
You got a chance.
Yeah, I'll go back and watch the whole
Okay,
video.
cool beans.
I think we were
Awesome.
the show earlier than 12, right? I was on the old time.
It doesn't matter. It's okay. Everybody's good. Nobody's yelling and screaming that they're overtime. So I think we're all right. I think we're good.
Yep.
All right, y'all.
All right.
That was fun.
It was.
Good.
It is.
Yeah. I'm gonna leave.
2 thumbs up. There we go. We got thumbs up. Bye.
Bye.
Thank you.
Bye.
Good weekend,
Bye-bye.
everybody.